Hi students, we are going to discuss about the kingdom Fungi. It is a kingdom of multicellular decomposers. So the fungi, they're eukaryotic decomposers, and they are heterotrophic in their nutrition. They are saprophytic or some are parasitic. Okay, they are achlorophyllous. That means they does not have a chlorophyll. And they are cosmopolitan in their distribution. They can be found in a wide variety of habitats. Okay. And they show great diversity in their morphology and habitat. So in their morphology and habitat, we can see a great diverse forms of fungus. Okay. And they prefer to live in a warm, humid places. They prefer to live in warm, humid places. And their body is not divided into roots, leaves and stems. Okay, so their body is known as thallus. Okay, and their body is what? It is filamentous. That means the body consists of long, slender, thread-like structures. So like this long, slender, thread-like structures can be seen. So these thread-like structures are known as hyphae. So body of fungus is made up of different hyphae. There may be so many hyphae. And a network of hyphae is known as the mycelium. A network of hyphae is known as mycelium. In some hyphae, we can see cross walls in them. So these are the cross walls. Just like this. Some hyphae may have cross walls. So hyphae with cross walls is known as the septate hyphae. So hyphae are of two types, septate and aseptate. In septate hyphae we can see the cross walls, but in the case of aseptate hyphae they are without cross walls. And in aseptate hyphae they are multinucleated. Okay, they are multinucleated. The condition is known as what? Cenocytic. That is, they are multinucleated. And the cell wall of fungus, their cell wall is made up of chitin and polysaccharides. Okay, so these are some of the characters of what? The kingdom fungi, and they can live in association with algae. So this is a symbiotic association. Okay, and this association is known as lichens. And like that, they can also make association with the roots of higher plants. So that is, association is known as mycorrhiza. Okay, the association, the fungal association with the roots of higher plants is known as mycorrhiza. Okay, so these are some of the general characters of what? The kingdom fungi. Now we are going to study about the reproduction in fungi. The reproduction in fungi, it may take place through sexual, asexual and vegetative means. So there is vegetative reproduction, asexual and sexual reproduction. This can be seen in this kingdom. Okay, so let's see what are the different methods of vegetative reproduction in fungi. So the common methods are fission, then budding and fragmentation. Other than this, there are two other methods, okay, that we have to explain. So here, oidium formation. So in this type of method, the hyphae breaks up into numerous very small fragments. The hyphae breaks up into numerous small fragments. So these small fragments are known as what? Oidia. These oidia which grow, and then later on it may give rise to a new hyphae. Okay, so in some fungus the hyphae breaks up into small fragments. These small fragments, very small fragments, which are known as oidia, which undergo growth, and later on it may give rise to a new hyphae. Okay, that is what oidium formation. Another type of vegetative reproduction, another method is what? The chlamydospores, by using the chlamydospores. So what is meant by these spores? The spores are the reproductive cells, the very minute reproductive cells. So these chlamydospores, which are thick, highly resistant spores, which are thick, highly resistant reproductive cells, or what? The spores. So they are highly resistant spores, and which are formed under unfavorable condition. So under unfavorable condition, these chlamydospores are formed. Okay, and these spores, they germinate to form a mycelium under favorable condition. Okay, so under favorable condition, what happens? The spores undergo what? Germination. They germinate to form a mycelium. Okay, so these are some of the methods of what? Vegetative reproduction in fungi. Now we are going to study about the asexual reproduction in fungus. So asexual reproduction in fungi, it takes place by the formation of asexual spores, asexual reproductive cells. Okay, so in fungi we can see diverse forms of organisms. So like that, here in this asexual reproduction, we can see a diverse forms of what? Different forms of asexual spores can be seen. So let's know what are these spores. Okay, so in case of asexual reproduction, there are different types of spores are formed. Okay, so the first one is the Sparangio spores, or it is known as Planar spores. These are thin-walled, non-motile spores. These are thin-walled, non-motile. They cannot move. They are non-motile spores, which are produced endogenously. That means these are produced in a structure. The structure is known as sporangium. So they are produced inside the sporangium. So it is known as what? Endogenous. Endogenously produced. So that's a Sparangiospore. Next one is the Sous Pores. These are flagellated motile spores. They are also endogenously produced. They are also produced in the sporangium. That is known as what? Sous Sporangium. It is known as Sous Sporangium. Okay, and it is found in the lower fungi like Phycomycetes. Okay, then Conidia. Conidia, these are thin-walled, non-motile spores. Thin-walled, non-motile spores, which are produced exogenously. That means these are generated freely on the tips of special aerial branches, and these special aerial branches of the hyphae, it is known as what? Conidiophore. So these are produced in the conidiophores. What? This conidia. Conidia are produced in the conidiospores. The next type of spores, it is what? Binucleated spores. These are found in the dikaryotic mycelium. Here the dikaryotic means two nuclei, presence of two nuclei in each cell of the hyphae. Okay, so these are found in the dikaryotic mycelium. Okay, so these are some of the asexual spores in the asexual reproduction of what? Fungi. Now we are going to study about the sexual reproduction in fungi. Sexual reproduction is the main basis for the classification of the kingdom fungi. Okay, now let's see what is the sexual reproduction in fungi. It takes place by the fusion of two compatible nuclei. These two nuclei can come from two different parents or strains. So it occurs by the fusion of two compatible nuclei. And the sexual reproduction in fungi, it occurs at a definite stage. It occurs at a definite stage in the life cycle of a fungus. And this sexual reproduction, it has mainly three process, or it consists of 3 steps. So there are 3 steps in the sexual reproduction of fungus. So they are plasmogamy, karyogamy, zygotic meiosis. So these are the steps involved in the sexual reproduction. So what is meant by plasmogamy? It is the fusion of the protoplast of 2 gametes. The fusion of protoplast of 2 gametes. Okay, so it forms, there may be 2 nucleus can be seen. Okay, in the resulting cell we can see 2 nucleus. So plasmogamy means the fusion of protoplast of 2 gametes. Then it is followed by karyogamy. Okay, so karyogamy means the fusion of the haploid nuclei of the gametes. The haploid nuclei of the gametes, they fuse to form a diploid zygote. The haploid nuclei of the gametes, they fuse to form a diploid zygote. That is known as karyogamy. Then after this, there is what? Meiosis, the zygotic meiosis. The zygote undergo division to form haploid spores. Okay, so these are the steps in the sexual reproduction. So usually in lower fungi, what happens is that the plasmogamy is just followed by what? Karyogamy. So after plasmogamy, there is what? Karyogamy. Immediately there is karyogamy in the case of the lower forms or lower fungi. The karyogamy follows what? Plasmogamy. But in the case of higher forms, the karyogamy is delayed. So that first there will be plasmogamy, then it should be after this what? There should be what? Karyogamy. But in the case of higher forms, the karyogamy is delayed. Okay. So that there is an intervening stage. So that there is an intervening stage in between plasmogamy and karyogamy. We can see there is what? An intervening stage can be seen. Okay. So the cells of the intervening stage may contain 2 nuclei. The cells may contain 2 nuclei. So such type of cells is known as what? Dicariotic cells. Okay. And that phase is known as what? The dicariotic phase. Okay. So these are the steps, the 3 steps involved in the sexual reproduction. Okay. So these are the 3 steps involved in the sexual reproduction. We know that plasmogamy is the fusion of the protoplast of 2 gametes. Okay. And in fungi, the plasmogamy, it can occur in different ways. Okay. So plasmogamy takes place in different ways. So let's know about what are these different ways. Okay. So the first way is the planogammatic copulation. So first way is the planogammatic copulation. Here the gametes, 2 gametes fuse with each other to form a diploid zygote. So in planogammatic copulation, what happens is that the 2 gametes, they fuse with each other and forming a diploid zygote. Okay, and this fusion may be of different ways. Okay, this gammatic fusion may occur in different ways. So these are the different ways of taking place the fusion of gametes. It may be isogamy. Isogamy means what? The fusion of motile gametes. Fusion of motile gametes which are similar in appearance. Okay. Second one is anisogamy. This is the fusion of motile gametes which are different in size. Then oogamy. It is the fusion of a larger non-motile female gamete. Okay, a larger non-motile female gamete with a smaller motile male gamete. So that is known as what? The Oogamy. Okay, so the first way is what? Planar gammatic copulation. So that the first way of what? The occurring what? Plasmogamy. Now let's know about the next way. Now the next way is gammatangial contact. Gammatangial contact means it is the fusion of two gammatangia. The fusion of two gammatangia. The gammatangia means the structure in which the gametes are formed. Gammatangia is a structure in which the gametes are formed. So there are two types of gammatangia. A male gammatangia and a female gammatangia. The male gammatangia is known as antheridium. Female gammatangia is known as oogonium. Okay, so there is one fusion of two gammatangia. So here in this process, first a fertilization tube is formed. When this antheridium and oogonium contact, at that time a fertilization tube is formed. This is followed by karyogamy. That results in the formation of what? Zygote. Or the zygote, or it is known as what? The zygospore. Okay. Another way is what? The gammatangial copulation. This word gammatangial contact. This is what? Gammatangial copulation. Here there is no formation of what? The fertilization tube. There is no formation of fertilization tube, and it is what? The direct fusion. Direct fusion of male and female gammatangia. It is the direct fusion of male and female gammatangia to form a zygote or zygospore. Okay. Now we are moving to the fourth way. So the fourth way is spermatization. It is the fusion of a small male sex cells. Small male sex cells, which is known as spermatia. The fusion of spermatia with female hyphae. Okay, so the fusion of spermatia with female hyphae. Okay, that is what? Spermatization. The last method is what? Somatogamy. So in some fungi, the distinct sex organs are absent, so that in them two vegetative hyphae. So two vegetative hyphae from the mycelium of opposite strains, that is from different strains, opposite strains, they contact and fuse. Okay, so that is what? Somatogamy. So far we have discussed about the kingdom fungi, the general characters of kingdom fungi, and their reproduction, vegetative, asexual, and the sexual reproduction. Okay, so now we are going to conclude this section. In the next class, we will discuss about the classification of the kingdom fungi, and this classification, it is mostly based on the sexual reproduction. Okay, so in the next class we will deal about what? The classification of fungi. Okay, so now I am going to conclude. Okay, so bye bye. Thank you.